What if I told you that you've been chasing happiness your entire life, and the whole time you've been running in the wrong direction? Most of us grow up believing that happiness is something that happens to us. A promotion, a relationship, a vacation. We sit around waiting for the right moment, the right person, the right break. And when it doesn't come, we blame the world. We blame our boss. We blame our luck. But here's the uncomfortable truth that psychologists have been trying to tell us for years. Happiness was never supposed to come from the outside. It was always an inside job. And the people who figured that out, they're not richer than you. They're not luckier than you. They just learned a skill that nobody ever taught you in school. Today, we're going to talk about why happiness is a trainable skill and why most people will never bother to train it. Stay with me. This might change how you experience tomorrow morning. So let's start with something that might surprise you. That wave of anger you felt this morning when someone cut you off in traffic. That rush of stress when you opened a nasty email from your boss. It has an expiration date, and that expiration date is about 90 seconds. That's it, 90 seconds. Researchers have found that when an emotion gets triggered, the actual chemical reaction in your body, the cortisol, the adrenaline, all of it peaks and fades in roughly a minute and a half. After that, the chemicals are gone. The storm is over. So if the chemical part only lasts 90 seconds, why do some people stay angry for hours? Why do some people let one bad moment ruin an entire day, an entire week, sometimes an entire year? Because they keep restarting the clock. Every time you replay that rude comment in your head, every time you rehearse the argument you wish you'd had, every time you tell yourself the story of how unfair it was, you're sending a fresh signal to your brain, and your brain does exactly what it's told. It fires up another 90-second cycle, and another, and another. Before you know it, you've been marinating in stress chemicals for 6 straight hours, and you think the world did that to you. But the world only gave you 90 seconds. You gave yourself the other 5 hours and 58 minutes. So here's the trick. When that wave hits, don't react. Don't fire off the text message. Don't slam the steering wheel. Just pause, breathe, and say to yourself, quietly, I'm feeling frustrated right now. That's it. You're not suppressing anything. You're not pretending you're fine. You're just giving yourself permission to feel it without feeding it. And by the time you finish that one sentence, the wave is already pulling back. That's not wishful thinking. That's brain chemistry. And once you understand it, you stop being a passenger and start being the driver. Now here's another thing most people never realize. We poison our own happiness with one tiny word, and that word is have. Think about how many times a day you say it. I have to go to work. I have to pick up the kids. I have to pay the bills. I have to clean the house. Every time you say have to, your brain hears a cage door closing. It hears obligation, burden, trap, and your mood drops, even if the task itself isn't that bad. But what happens when you swap one word? What happens when have to becomes get to? I get to go to work because it means I have an income. I get to pick up the kids because it means I have a family. I get to pay the bills because it means I have a roof over my head. I get to clean the house because it means I had a meal to eat. Psychologists call this reframing. And I know, it sounds almost too simple. It sounds like something you'd find on a motivational poster in a dentist's office. But here's why it works. Your brain doesn't argue with the words you feed it. If you tell it you're trapped, it believes you. If you tell it you're lucky, it believes that too. And the shift doesn't require a therapist or a meditation retreat. It requires about half a second of catching yourself mid-sentence. That half second is the entire difference between a miserable Tuesday and a grateful one. All right, let me ask you something. When was the last time you really enjoyed your morning coffee? Not just drank it while scrolling through your phone, not just gulped it down on the way out the door, but actually tasted it, actually felt the warmth of the mug in your hands, actually sat there for a moment and thought, "This is nice." If you can't remember, you're not alone. Most of us have become experts at noticing what's wrong. We scroll through bad news. We fixate on problems. We replay failures. Our brains are basically set to a default channel called "everything is terrible," and we never bother to change it. But researchers found something fascinating. When people deliberately focus on a small positive moment, even something as simple as sunlight through a window or the taste of good food, and they hold that focus for just 20 seconds, something shifts in the brain. It starts scanning for more moments like that. It's like training a dog. You reward the behavior you want to see more of, and your brain, just like that dog, starts fetching joy instead of fetching worry. They call it savoring, and the people who practice it don't have better lives than you. They have the same traffic, the same bills, the same Monday mornings. They just learn to pause on the good parts instead of fast-forwarding through them. Now, one last thing, and this might be the most important piece of the whole puzzle. There's an old trick that therapists have used for decades. It's an acronym, HALT, and it stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. The rule is simple. Never make a big decision about your life when you're in any of those 4 states, because here's what happens. It's 4 in the afternoon. You skipped lunch. You barely slept last night. You're sitting alone at your desk, and suddenly this wave of hopelessness washes over you. Nothing feels right. Your job feels pointless. Your relationships feel empty. Your whole life feels like it's going nowhere. And in that moment, you think you're having a revelation. You think you're finally seeing the truth, but you're not. You're just running on empty. Most of the darkest thoughts people have about their own lives aren't revelations. They're symptoms. Symptoms of low blood sugar, dehydration, sleep deprivation, or simple human loneliness. And the tragedy is that people make life-altering decisions based on those moments. They quit jobs. They end relationships. They give up on dreams, all because they confused exhaustion with truth. So before you judge your entire life, check your fuel gauge, drink a glass of water, eat something, take a 10-minute nap, call a friend, and then see if the world still looks that dark. 9 times out of 10, it won't. So here's where we land. Happiness isn't a destination. It's not a promotion or a relationship or a number in your bank account. It's a skill, and like any skill, it's awkward at first. You'll forget to pause during that 90-second window. You'll catch yourself saying, "have to," 100 times before you remember to switch it. You'll blow right past beautiful moments without savoring them. And that's fine, because you're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be slightly better than yesterday. One pause, one reframe, One moment of noticing that the coffee actually tastes pretty good today. That's the whole game. And the people who play it, they're not living in some fantasy world where nothing goes wrong. They're living in the same messy, chaotic, imperfect world as everyone else. They just learned to stop waiting for happiness to show up at their door and started building it with their own hands, one tiny decision at a time. And that, honestly, might be the most powerful thing a human being can learn.